We are on the lunch break in the questioning of David Veness at the Undercover Police Inquiry. David Veness was the Assistant Commander of Special Operations for the Metropolitan Police between 1994 and 2005. He is engaging with his questioning by claiming a complete lack of memory of anything, really, which is very frustrating. He has been questioned at length on a number of matters, including partially enclosed. So for those of you watching weren't able to see the questioning around Operation Muscat, which was Helen Steele's search for John Dines, the undercover police officer who deceived her into a sexual relationship, which involved her travelling to New Zealand and resulted in Dines being paid £2.5 million out of taxpayers' money in order to relocate from New Zealand to Australia. This was signed off by David Veness. He claims to have no memory of it whatsoever. He claimed to have no memory of any of the documents that we were shown, which we can't talk about the detail of. I'm joined by Connor and Matt, who are first time visiting the inquiry. What did you make of what we've heard?
Well, there's not really been much said, has there?
I mean, this is the problem. There's such witness.
Yeah, it's been sort of shocking, really, how little detail he's been able to give with everything. I mean, my sort of takeaway with it is, I don't know, either he's sort of just completely incompetent and was completely asleep at the wheel when he was working, or he clearly has some other motivation for not wanting to disclose exactly what was said. But yeah, it's been underwhelming, really, in terms of the amount of stuff that's actually been said.
I've been quite impressed by the differing creative uses of "I don't know" or "I can't say anything." I think one of the things I wrote down was I cannot unravel with precision. As a reason, is like another way of saying like I don't know, I can't remember. And I think the chair's interactions with him and trying to kind of like how open the goalpost he's allowing him to be like, and if you could remember, or you know, would you have done it? And instead of just lying about it and being like, yes, I would have done the right thing, is still so incompetent enough to be like, maybe I would have done the right thing.
There's a lot of hope, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I hope that if I had been appraised of the situation that we know now, then I would have done the right thing. And he said, well, just given the information that you were clearly presented with, which the paperwork shows you were given this information, he talks about, oh, well, I don't know, I would have absorbed that information correctly. I'm not sure if I was. For one of the things we were shown was a letter, which has become famous now, from the partner of HN123, who was an undercover police officer who brought some litigation against the Metropolitan Police for psychological damage from his deployment, where she talks about the fact that at a SDS Christmas party, that undercover officers were talking openly in front of members of the public about sexual activity whilst undercover and the fathering of children. It's clearly a follow-up to a conversation she'd already had with him, where she refers to some of the comments that he'd made. And it's like, you know, it's there, it's right in there. He says, oh, I wasn't briefed on it. It may have been delivered to my office, but my staff clearly didn't inform me of its contents, for which I apportion no blame to them. I don't blame them for not telling me. They had a lot of other things to do. He couldn't remember who the staff were. He just doesn't accept that he would have known anything about it. And it was put to him, well, if you had known, what would you have acted? Well, if I'd have known now. No, what if you'd known just the information that's in this letter? Well, I hoped I would have behaved differently. And he is really giving as little away as he possibly can.
Yeah, it's it was the, do you recall who was on your staff at the time?
No.
And him just going no. And it's like, these are your work colleagues. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you would remember that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, he's been essentially painting a picture that he just almost was just turning up to work and just completely just the days were just passing him by, and he seems to have no involvement in what actually was occurring. And yeah, it's been. I
mean, we should remind viewers that he was Assistant Commissioner Specialist Operations, which meant he was just the one rung below the Chief Commander of the Met, who was in charge of all specialist operations. This means, you know, special branch, counter-terrorism, anything specialist in those areas, which is huge. He walked off this job and straight into head of security for the United Nations. You could not have a more senior role in in security operations of any sort. The idea that he wasn't across the detail of certain things is possibly understandable, but the idea that he just simply wasn't informed is ridiculous. The idea he has no memory at all of all these things. I mean, particularly that last section, him signing off a single check for 2.5 million of public money at an amount that would dwarf the budget of the entire department, which had caused this problem, that he had no memory of it at all, is just not credible in any way, shape, or form. I think that the witness is disrespecting the process. He's showing that he has no respect for the legal instrument which he's been brought in front of, which I think mirrors, as ever, the attitude of his time as a police officer, where he had no respect for the law and didn't care that his officers were breaking the law in such a systemic way. It's frustrating to follow, isn't it?
There was kind of a bit of a, I don't know the word to describe it, but when the chair asked him to clarify,
so it was the council's inquiry. The chair's the other guy.
To clarify whether or not he was a rogue officer.
This is about HN81, a cover named Dave Hagan, who infiltrated the Stephen Lawrence support group.
Yeah, and there's like just a horrible little smirk that he does when he does, as if it's like this kind of sick little in-joke between everybody that I just found a bit unnerving and completely like disrespectful to the people that have actually been hurt by all of this.
You get that impression that he's like, I've been briefed on this. I know what I've got to say. I've got a great answer for this. And you get that weird smile he's got. It's frustrating. I mean, I think it's very clear that the briefing of particularly the senior managers on how they should answer questions has been very comprehensive. They as you say, he's got very creative with ways of saying that he doesn't recall. We've seen previous senior officers, for example, Paul Condon, the former chief commissioner of the Met, who obviously was really avoiding that phrase "don't recall" and used as many different forms of words as he possibly could about not being able to be helpful to the process, which we've seen some of today. I mean, I think that's probably as far as we can take it in terms of the witness we've just had. I mean, I do my best to try and keep people informed about what's happened at the inquiry, but I mean, I think just saying I don't recall, I can't remember, I mean, that kind of covers it really. But I'm interested, this is your first time at the inquiry?
It is, yeah.
What brings you here, and what have you made of it?
We're kind of here in a, I don't like the term information gathering process, but we are here to do research for a project. And you can only get so much out of watching the live stream and reading the transcript. So we thought we had a gap in our work lives and was able to get some annual leave to come off. So we've come down here for the day to kind of just, regardless of who was going to be a witness, for us, it was more about getting an idea of the feel of being in the room. And it's kind of a bizarre experience. I think, credit to you and the others that come every day. I don't know how you have the patience for, because I imagine he like Veness isn't the first kind of person like that you've
Far
had.
from it.
So I don't know how you have the patience to be here for like 7 hours a day when it's just I don't recall. But yeah, it's kind of a bit surreal. I don't know how you're finding it so far.
I kind of echo a lot of what Connor said, and again to kind of commend you guys, because certainly I would never have kind of picked up on this story if it wasn't for your work and all credit to you for the work that you're doing. It's very impressive.
So you say researching, what are you researching for? Can you tell us a bit about that?
So we're developing a script, kind of telling the story of sort of protest movements in the 90s and moving into 2000s, and obviously the Spike Up stuff is a big part of that. Still in a very kind of early stages of developing it all. We've been speaking to Roger Geffen a lot and kind of getting his kind of memories and recollections of everything, and kind of moving on from there, and hopefully chatting to some other people. But I don't know if you want to add to anything.
No, I think you've kind of summarized it pretty well there. This isn't something that nobody's paying us to be here or anything like that. Like this is just I think we came across you through the TrueAnon episode, the first TrueAnon episode you did, because we were listening to that podcast throughout COVID, and then I think Matt passed on the Spike Ops episode, and kind of since then it's just been just reading up about it and listening to the podcast that you do, and the documentary series that the women did last year, and yeah, like it's just more of a passion project than anything for us at the minute. And yeah, we've wanted to come down and be here for ages. So to be able to come down and sit in, and because it's quite like, I think the fact that he's like Veness is doing it over video call as well, it's a bit of a, I don't know, like he's getting it a bit easier than anybody else is. I imagine like being stood at the front of that room with all the solicitors and stuff like that there can be a massively overwhelming experience. Like even when we arrived this morning and we came and sat at the back of the room, there wasn't many people in there in the first place, and then 10 minutes before like everything started, like a wave of people in suits just kind of like filing in. I was like, oh, okay, this is a bit more intense than I kind of assumed it would be.
A banquet of lawyers.
Yeah. And like we said, me and Matt were, as we were walking to the bathroom on the break, we're like, I don't really know who does what here and why there are so many people here, but I imagine like we'll get a bit more clarification on. I
mean, just to give you an idea of that. Yeah. So I mean, like, essentially at the very front, you've got the Counsel to the Inquiry, which is the legal team that provides the support to the chair. The chair's guy at the front, that's Sir John Mitting. David Barr, KC, who's the guy who's asking the questions, is the senior counsel to the inquiry. The rest of the inquiry legal team is sat around him. On his left-hand side, you generally have the lawyers for the witness, which are the police lawyers in this case. Okay. I don't know, actually, I didn't clock if they were stood there or not today, because I think they're probably just with him in the room where he's joining from. All around there's lawyers for the Home Office, for the Metropolitan Police themselves, for various aspects of the state that are affected by this inquiry. And then you have a wide range of lawyers representing the non-state court participants. Those change a lot as depending on who the witness is and what areas they're covered. The inquiry only funds the presence of those non-state co-participant lawyers if their client is materially affected by the evidence being given on that day. So there is a small team of the collective of non-state co-participants who are there every day, who are probably the most kind of plugged in in terms of the non-state co-participants' understanding of proceedings at the inquiry. But yeah, I mean, like some days it feels like just overwhelming, because I mean some of the legal teams are quite big. Yeah. I mean, particularly the Home Office ones and the Met Police ones, there can be quite a lot of lawyers for them. Some days there's hardly anybody there at all. It kind of feels like, and similarly with the public gallery, it's fairly quiet there today. I mean, other days it's been like absolutely rammed, standing room only. Sometimes I mean, there was one occasion where I was there by myself, which, I mean, it is the nature of these things as the interest sort of ebbs and flows. I mean, I think Vanessa's got a big overview. I mean, he was in charge for a long time. He was there for 11 years. Everything happened on his watch during that time period. But because he's quite senior, his ability to say that he doesn't remember. I mean, with previous witnesses who've just done this consistent "I don't remember" thing, it's been pointed out to them that these events were central to their career. This is what they built their career around. I mean, in one case with HN53, he claimed to have no memory whatsoever of Operation Muscat, where he worked exclusively on it for about 3 years. I mean, it's just not credible in any sense. I mean, I don't think it's credible at all with Veness, to be perfectly honest. But I mean, I think his use of his time with the UN and the events of Libya, which involved a bunch of people losing their lives, and obviously it was very traumatic, I'm sure. Using that as his excuse for lack of memory, I think is very cynical. But, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No. Is there, I'm trying to think. I'm racking my brain. No, other than like if you're interested in this and like you're able to come down, because it was fairly easy for us to get in. Like we hadn't registered before, and we'd messaged you and spoken to Roger, and you both said like you should be fine getting on that day, and it was a fairly easy process, like getting in the door. So yeah, it's just a completely fascinating experience to be here, to be honest. Was there anything you wanted to say?
No.
Yeah, there's 3 more days which you can attend of this phase of hearings. There will be a couple more days in September with HN86, who is being forced to give evidence over 3 days between 21st and 23rd of September. Helen Steele will also be giving further evidence during that time period. We haven't been confirmation of when exactly that will be. And then there'll be closing statements in February, which the registration for which should come out in the next few months. So do come along if you can, if you're interested, particularly when it comes to that closed section, which the areas of details of which we're not allowed to discuss fully. You only get to hear them if you're in the room. So that's a big reason to come for a lot of people. But thanks for joining us. Thanks to everybody who's liked and shared these videos. It makes a huge difference to how visible they are. I'll do some more videos this afternoon during the breaks. Bye for now.